Welcome to That's the Word, wholesome tales for the whole family. I'm Father James Yamauchi. Today's story, Expert Consultation. Though the day was at an end, Reggie knew that this meant little to Tom. Even under normal conditions, Reggie would have to ensure that his friend took breaks from his projects for little things like eating and going to bed. Right now, however, Tom had hit a roadblock and was struggling to find a way to make progress. He could not find a way past it. Knowing Tom would still be working, Reggie decided to check on him. As he walked down the hall, he heard voices coming from Tom's room. Reggie could only make out Tom's voice. He did not recognize the other voice or voices. He could not tell if Tom had one or more guests. Strange, Reggie thought to himself. There should not be any visitors here. Reggie knew that Tom would never entertain guests at this hour, no matter how important the matter may be. Reggie was truly puzzled and was not sure what to do. In the end, he decided to wait outside the room in case Tom needed him. The conversation went on for some time. Finally, the conversation ceased. The door soon opened, and Tom stepped out alone. Delighted to see Reggie, he said, "Come in quickly." Reggie followed him into the room and was startled to find no one else there. Tom was so excited he did not notice Reggie's astonishment. "Quickly," he told Reggie, "light a candle and grab those papers on my desk." His face was jolly and bright. "I found a way past the roadblock. We can now move forward on the project." The two of them worked for the next hour. Satisfied with the work accomplished, Tom told Reggie, "It is getting late, and it is time for us to retire for the night. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the morning." Reggie got up and headed to the door. Before he left, he turned and asked, "Who were you speaking with tonight?" His colleague was startled by the question and remained silent, looking down at the papers before him. Reggie approached his friend and knelt before him, and with a consoling voice stated, "I will not rise from here until you have told me the name of him or them with whom you have spoken for such a long time tonight." Reggie saw tears in the eyes of his friend, who began to weep. Tom took a deep breath, then said, "I will confide this to you under one condition. You are forbidden, in the name of God, to reveal this to anyone during my lifetime." Reggie gave his word, and Tom confessed that the apostles, Saints Peter and Paul, had come to give him instruction. Reggie kept his word and said nothing about this and other marvels he experienced on account of his friend until after Tom's death. They were both monks, dedicated to the preaching of God's word. On this occasion, they were engaged in a writing project on the book of the prophet Isaiah, and, thanks to the help of the apostles, they overcame a serious roadblock. For over a decade, Reggie served at the side of this great churchman as his companion and confessor, and knew that the world only understood a small part of his friend's genius. After Tom's death, Reggie was happy to tell others that his friend owed his knowledge less to the effort of his mind than to the power of his prayer. Every time he wanted to study, discuss, teach, write, or dictate, he first had recourse to the privacy of prayer, weeping before God in order to discover in the truth the divine secrets. And though he had been in uncertainty before praying, as a result of his prayer, he came back instructed. Such was the man whose family, for worldly reasons, desired him to don the Benedictine habit and serve as the abbot of the famed Abbey of Monte Cassino. But God had other plans for this angelic soul, whose writings to this day bring clarity and charity to the most fundamental questions of life. The Dominican and Doctor of the Church, Saint Thomas Aquinas. And for this week, that's the word. So, John Peter, January 28th is the memorial of St. Thomas Aquinas. Many people, hopefully, are aware of St. Thomas Aquinas, but some of the listeners may be asking, who is this Reggie?
So Reggie, or Reginald of Paperno, was another Dominican who was a companion to St. Thomas Aquinas. He was the guy who helped him out on many of his writing stuff, and he was his confessor. Reginald was also almost a foster brother to him because Thomas Aquinas, as we talked about in the story, wouldn't eat or do other basic necessities. We don't have that problem, but Thomas Aquinas did.
We always know when it's time to eat.
Yes, we do. But he had that problem. Apparently, he would have to put the food in front of him and make him eat, because if he just put the food in front of him, he'd still be wrapped in thought.
And you have to imagine Reginald must have had a very gifted intellect. We were researching that he actually gave the funeral oration after the death of St. Thomas Aquinas. And just to work with St. Thomas Aquinas, you have to be someone who is very much capable of talking and listening and following the instructions of the angelic doctor.
Right. I mean, you think about us going through school. I know when I went through philosophy and was reading the works of Thomas Aquinas, it took 2 or 3 reads before you understood what he was actually saying.
It does take a while, yes. And a big shout out to one of my priest friends. He's a priest in another diocese who just loves St. Thomas Aquinas. In fact, whenever I preach with anything involving St. Thomas Aquinas, I always think of him. So a big shout out to him and all the other Thomists in the listening audience. One of the things that touched me in this story was the words of Reginald regarding the genius of St. Thomas Aquinas. We all know St. Thomas Aquinas had a great intellect and the intellectual contribution he has given to the church. But it's also very important, especially as we focus on Catholic Schools Week and think about St. Thomas Aquinas as the patron saint of students, of what allowed him to be able to utilize his intellect for the service of God and the church. And in the story, we brought up a direct quote from Reginald, where he talked about how Thomas Aquinas relied so much on the power of prayer that he would spend hours in prayer. And when he needed to get clarity on things, he would go to prayer. And it's just a reminder to me as a diocesan priest and as a pastor, how often do I bring things to prayer before the Lord? Or when I start, even something just very simple things, do I pray? And not just say a prayer, but really enter in and pray. And I think that's a great example St. Thomas Aquinas can teach all of us, no matter what our state of life is that we are called to be in deep relationship with God, and that everything we do is for the glory of God. And therefore, it's important to bring God into that work through prayer and truly being able to listen to Him. And we can see how that impacted not only St. Thomas Aquinas' life, but the fruit of his work still impacts us to this very day.
And we got some fan mail today. This is from Father Emmett, writing back on the story, An Impediment to Advancement.
Mm-hmm.
And so he writes, by the way, listening now, y'all are pronouncing the word Capuchin like the monkey breed. The religious order is pronounced with the emphasis on the first syllable. Capuchin. Just a little quibble. Or maybe that's just the European pronunciation. Just to let you know, Father Emmett, you are right, except about the monkey part. The monkey apparently is also pronounced Capuchin.
So we got that wrong.
We got both wrong.
We got both wrong.
Yeah, we were 0 for 2. He was 1 for 2.
All right. Well, congratulations, Father Emmett. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. And if there's anyone who has any doubt, Google has the answer.
Capuchin.
There we go. So that's what Google says, and Google is always right. So we will defer to Google. If you enjoy That's the Word, please share the word. You can see the story extras for this story, Expert Consultation, at thunderrock.org, where you can see a picture of St. Thomas Aquinas with his expert consultants, St. Peter and St. Paul. Thunderrock.org is also where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter and where you can find our social links and our email if you have any feedback or story ideas.
Thanks for listening, and join us next Wednesday for another wholesome tale for the whole family.